Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and it's G.I. Joe versus Cobra and Destro. We are taking a look at from the G.I. Joe Classified series. This is Destro, and we're starting off. I had to come in and do this awesome thumbnail pick right here. Now, I got this figure originally off of Amazon.com, but it's been out long enough that I'm sure you can find it at a plethora of online and brick and mortar retailers. It is a normal release on the classified line, so you don't really have to worry about having a hard time finding the figures. So yeah, let me readjust things and we'll start the review off proper. Being the weapon supplier and one of the big three of Cobra, you might think that Destro would come with a little more in terms of the accessories, but you know what? I'm very happy with what he does come with. And can I just mention how great it was to have Destro in Wave 1 of the Classified series? I mean, if you remember, from going back to that original miniseries, the Mass Device, as I slung it in the beginning, it's G.I. Joe versus Cobra and Destro. He was right there at the beginning. So yeah. First off, we have this great Cobra briefcase. Unfortunately, the Cobra logo is only painted on one side, although, to be honest, I think that's done on purpose because this is given a nice glossy black finish. So, kind of makes sense. And the briefcase can open, and you have a little bit of a computer here and some disposable currency. Now, unlike Destro's backpack that the original figure came with, you cannot store that gun in here. I mean, you can put that gun in there, but it has a holster. So, yeah, kind of a little disappointed. And getting into the guns, this is his big blaster, which I think is meant to represent the handgun Destro came with way back in the day in 1982, 83 maybe. I would have preferred to have seen something based more on the hand blaster he used in the animated series. I mean, this is kind of cool, but there's really no storage for it. It's sort of like a long-barreled pistol with a scope. I mean, there's no stock or anything. And, maybe if that could pull out, that would have been kind of cool. But it is a really nice-looking blaster. And, of course, Destro does have a little smaller sidearm, which is closer to that blaster that I first mentioned, but it's done in gold. Now, obviously, we know this was probably done for the repaint into Profit Director Destro, which we'll take a look at a later point in time. And this, of course, can just fit into the holster here on its leg, and or in Destro's hand. Which, let me just put this gun in. This gun tends to fit a little bit easier because it doesn't have the trigger, but slides right in. Just position it just so it looks a little like it's pointing forward-ish. I know it's sometimes a little tricky, but holds it well. Holds it quite well. And while we're here, let's get into the articulation. Let me just pop the camera up a bit. Destro tends to be one of those figures that pushes the 6 and 6 inches. Let's say it's almost as tall as Roadblock, but like all the other classified figures, it does have a neck hinge that's right there. You can see some of the flesh peeking out under his helmet, which is kind of cool. It shouldn't go down all the way. There'd be a little space in the neck, but the head can rotate side to side. You do have a little bit of wiggle, and there is that hinge joint to allow him to look up, and then push it down, looking down. I think it's really more that neck joint doing it, but it is there. The arms do have the butterfly joint as well as a universal hinge in the shoulder, bicep swivel, and double jointed elbows. Which needs me to work on this a little, get them going. The trick is always, if you want to really use them, you got to push on the joint to get that back joint to flex more. And then you have a rotation here at the wrist, and he does have the up and down hinge movement on both hands. The waist is quite nice. He does have that what I would say the standard Marvel Legend ab crunch, but he also has a ball joint there. It allows for rotation. The hips, he kick forward, kick, bring the leg down, bring both legs down. He does have that enhanced hip articulation. Get it out to the back, forward, side. There is some thigh swivel. There is a calf swivel. Obviously, on this side, it's a little more limited due to the holster. Double jointed knees, faux ratchets, and of course the rotation here at the calf boot rotation, I really should say, and you have forward, back, forward, and then ankle pivot. So nice amount of articulation. If you follow the comics, Destro was really like the field commander for Cobra, as well as selling them the weapons. In the cartoon, as well as in the comics, he was actually one of the leaders of Cobra. I would say he was second in command behind Cobra Commander and just above the Baroness. At least that's how I always understood the Cobra hierarchy. I mean, I could be wrong. And this is, of course, in the days before, Serpentor and all those guys and things like that. But it was really cool character. It was kind of funny with the way he spoke growing up in the 80s. I thought Destro might have been African American. Keep in mind that he didn't have this open of a collar. I didn't really see his flesh. And I kind of missed the episode where they explained he was from Scotland and he's a laird of Scotland. Even the voice actor, Arthur Burkhart, who was an African-American male, he played Destro sort of like that 70s cool guy, and he just figured that Destro was horribly disfigured, and that's why he wore the mask. No one really knew the whole history of the Man in the Iron Mask. That was something explored in the comics, so it's kind of cool. And as a fan of Highlander, to have someone like Destro, who, as we all know, as time wore on, he was a good guy. He was, sometimes he was a good guy, sometimes he was a bad guy. Often he was just the guy. He formed his own army, the Iron Grenadiers, worked with Joe, worked with Cobra, worked with anybody who would pay him. I've always felt that Destro could be one of those characters that could transcend G.I. Joe, and that had they stayed at Marvel Comics, I could have seen Destro becoming a fixture of the Marvel Universe. Think about it. He's selling weapons to Doctor Doom for his Latvian army, doing some under-the-table dealings with the Magia. Shield has to kind of stop G.I. Joe from taking him down because he's secretly giving them information on some other group. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities and potential there. By the way, before I forget, I do want to mention one cool thing is Destro's little jewel right here. That is a separate piece, so if you pop the head off, you can remove it. You can almost slide it off now, but I don't want to play with it. So that's about it. Let me pause, and I'll be back with my final thoughts. If you can't tell, I really like the Destro figure, as well, I like the character. And it's a shame that in the live-action films, I really don't think Destro has ever gotten his due. Basically, after that first G.I. Joe film, Rise of Cobra, Destro was pretty much done and used. They kind of took him out in Retaliation, and as far as I know right now, he's going to have nothing to do with the Snake Eyes movie, which, to be honest, I don't think is going to do that well. I mean, they're really turning that film on its head, and, well, that's a conversation for a later time. As I mentioned in the beginning, I got the figure off of Amazon, but it is available everywhere now. eBay, Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, brick and mortar retail. Although brick and mortar retail, you might have a little bit of a hard time finding it due to everything going on in the world. Restocking toys may not be the top priority for places like Target, Walmart, there's in Kmart. But if you haven't picked up Destro, which to be honest, I think any of you watching this probably already have, definitely it's worth a pickup. I mean, this is a 6-inch version of the Destro we all know and love. So yeah, that's it for the review. If you like this review, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. While I will always appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions help communicate to YouTube through their algorithms that my channel is one that should be exalted, promoted, and held upon high. If you want to make the ultimate sign of support to my channel, please consider joining my Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. Hyperlink in the description below, because YouTube did something and I can't use the cards anymore, and there's really no place to ask or look them up. But all I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. No thrills, no tiers, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you, help me to help you bring figures like Destro to you. But as I always say, the Patreon is like a cherry on top of an already generous sundae. And if you can't afford the $1 a month or $12 a year, the views of my videos are more than enough, and I am just so grateful for that. Other than that, this is your old pal Chuck for Destro, and we will see you next time.